Adrian Broadus.
Oh, it's getting hot outside. Holy cow. If you've been outside today or any day, really, it's just it's hell. Let's be honest. It's hot. It's brutal. Thank God it's not humid in El Paso. There's one outlier, and I guess I will, somebody who's lived in Austin and El Paso, and Alberto can also vouch for this because he's lived in Houston and El Paso. I will take 107 with no humidity over 95 and 80% humidity any day of the week. Even 90 and 80% humidity would suck. I mean, I used to think that when I would go to school in Austin and I would have to deal with really, summers there or even August when school was getting ready to start, it was awful. Awful. I mean, you get outside and you're stuck to your clothes within 2 minutes. So, as hot as it is here, as much as we complain, the lack of humidity, that's a good thing, right, man? That's a really good thing.
Yeah, the humidity has you sweating in really awkward places quickly, and so
it does.
It just makes for an unfun days.
That's true.
Well, another point is, so I'm hosting right now family from San Antonio, which, by the way, they're loving it. Actually, one family member's from Dallas. She's loving it as well. We're hosting them this week, and yesterday I couldn't find everybody. Like, they were out of the living room area, out of all the rooms, and I see them all, like, congregated outside. I was like, what are you guys doing? It's so hot. And they were like, what do you mean? It's beautiful outside in the evenings here in El Paso. I can't even step outside in the evenings over in Dallas or San Antonio. So they were trying to tell me and convince me how much they love the evenings here in El Paso because they feel like it gets a little extra cool over here.
Well, let me say this. I'm hosting out at State Line tonight for the summer concert series. It's going to be those guys, and they're so nice. In fact, Jesse's, and the brothers, Danny, who's his wife works here with us, Pau. They're great people, great band, just they're so nice. And I start thinking about it because when I'm probably gonna leave here around 6 to go head over to the State Line because they go on stage at 7:30. And Adrian, the weather once you hit about 6 o'clock and the sun starts to stay away from that area where the patio stage is, it is nice. It's very comfortable. As long as the sun is not shining directly in your face or directly on you, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I feel like for our local concert series here in El Paso, for the outdoor series here in the summer, whether it's our series at the State Line or Cool Canyon Nights, I love to play outdoor basketball myself. When you get to like the 7:30, 8 period, it's perfect. Like your shorts, t-shirts, you obviously dress the part, but it's nice and it's doable for sure versus what we're dealing with. When you step outside right now at 4 o'clock and try to just go to your car, you're going to probably muster up a sweat.
No, big time. Big time. Hey, meanwhile, I don't know about the two of you, or three of you, because Michael Plundo's here too, but I woke up at about 6:45 this morning to the news that Jerry West had passed away at the age of 86. And start thinking about this because everybody's talking about, the logo, the brand, and the executive, because really in the last, 40 years, Jerry West is known more as a basketball executive than anything else. But you got to realize something. Jerry West was an unbelievable talent. One of the faces of that team. I mean, you had Chamberlain, you had Elgin Baylor, but Jerry West was the guy for the whole decade of the 60s, really, and starred with the Lakers. And then, had this second career as a basketball exec. And when we spoke with Michael Cooper on the Q about 3 weeks ago, and Buzz asked him about Winning Time, the reason Michael Cooper said he didn't watch it was he didn't like the way Jerry West was portrayed and said it wasn't accurate, it wasn't right, and he felt like that was something that bothered him. Because, they portrayed Jerry West as kind of a lunatic, and he wasn't
predatory.
And he wasn't like that. So it bothered Michael Cooper to the point he wouldn't even watch the show. And I always looked at Jerry West as a really good basketball executive, smart, classy, and somebody that was basically, how can I put this? Almost like an executive version of the kind of ball player he was on the court. That's the best way to put it. I always thought he was a pretty class act when it came to Jerry West. So, yeah, it's tough. You think about it, Bill Walton, now Jerry West. So, although, unlike Bill Walton, Jerry West was 86 years old. That's a good life. You die in your sleep peacefully, or I don't know if he died in his sleep. They just said he died peacefully, which is nice. It's good to hear that. But 86 to me, that's a very good life.
Wonderful life right there. I would also say an icon, in this sport, literally, because he's the logo of the NBA. That's the portrayal for him. I've seen a lot of great clips that came out today. And as recent as this year, Steve, it's like Jerry West was very active with media members. He was active with voicing his opinions and his thoughts on the sport. He still watched the game avidly. He was an avid fan of the game and all of those things. So I would say somebody who has really been a fixture in this sport for decades plus, somebody who helped really trailblaze things. You talk about the late 60s, early 70s. NBA was not popular. It was not a popular sport. They were facing a lot of different problems, and not to mention, the late 70s, they faced a real bad drug problem and gambling problem. So he was part of, some of the original pioneers for the sport to try to popularize it. And Lakers versus Celtics was a big deal in the late 60s, and he was part of those early rivalries.
Imagine this. Imagine that you're an all-star every year of your entire career. So let's start with that. Every year, you make the all-star team, your entire career. Imagine also that you go to 9 NBA finals, but you only win 1 title. And the reason you go to 9, but you only win 1, is predominantly because you ran into the buzzsaw that was the Boston Celtics dynasty.
Bill Russell.
Yeah. That's it. Exactly. And you think about that. And it's a shame for Laker fans, but they were always on the wrong side of that rivalry. And then the one time the Celtics don't go to the NBA Finals, the 1969 Knicks beat the Lakers and win the NBA Finals. Classic moment where Willis Reed, who is injured, comes out, Garden goes crazy. You hear Marv Albert introduce Willis Reed, and the Knicks go on to win the series. So, although Jerry West hits a shot at I don't know if it was either half court or just before half court to actually force one of those games into overtime. A buzzer beater half-court shot in the NBA Finals.
What's interesting about Jerry West's career and everything, the way that he was portrayed, going back to what you were saying about Michael Cooper, the way he was portrayed in Winning Time was almost like he was a failure. And he needed to coach and be an executive to kind of, rectify some of the losses. He was far from that, Steve. Just because he lost in the finals, you know what? To get to the finals, it was a huge accomplishment in itself. But how about this? How about a stat that holds true to this day? The fact that here to this day, 2024, he is still the NBA Finals all-time leader in total points, all-time leader in field goals made, and all-time leaders in free throw made and attempted in the NBA Finals. So that tells you the longevity. It tells you how his teams always contended for the biggest game themselves, and just because they didn't win, it's not a failure right there. Sure, he wasn't a champion during some of those years, but it's not a failure like I think Winning Time portrayed him to be.
That's very true. Very true. Anyway. Hey, how do you like the fact that the NBA has never admitted all these years that Jerry West was the logo?
They never did?
No.
I didn't know this.
They never did.
This is just assumed?
They've never gone so far as to say officially from the league that the NBA logo was based on Jerry West, even though that's been talked about for the last 60 plus years. No one's ever gone on the record to say that.
So is this just assumed? Like when the logo first came out, Jerry West, or how did this first happen? Like how did they attribute the logo to him?
Everybody said that it was him. That they said that he was the model for the logo. It's just funny because the NBA never confirmed it. In fact, you wonder, but the NBA also never said otherwise. They never said that it wasn't Jerry West. Adam Silver's comment in 2021 was this, quote, "While it's never been officially declared that the logo is Jerry West, it sure looks a lot like him."
Was it okay? I want to know the context of that one, because at that point, were they thinking about switching the logo? And I might be wrong on that, but that was at least my thought. And even if that's the case, then say it right there. Like if they were thinking of switching the logo, say, "Hey, it's been we kind of it was inspired by the iconic Jerry West. Now we're thinking of switching it here all these years later." That was the time, if there was ever a time to change it, because now that logo isn't going to get changed anytime soon.
I'm sure not. I'm sure you're right about that. But I'll say this again, looking at just, his body of work, unbelievable. 5-time All-Defensive player. He was the MVP of the All-Star game. He was the MVP of the final series against the Knicks, even though he lost that series, which 12-time All-NBA. He was also a 14-time All-Star. He was a scoring champ, NBA champ. 75th anniversary team. I mean, look, he is for his career 27 points per game. That's terrific. Terrific basketball player.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, all-time great, icon, truly in the sport.
And if you think about the all-time great Lakers, unfortunately, we've got a little baseball focus today with Jay Jaffe and Jeff Erickson, but you kind of wonder, okay, all-time greatest Lakers. Here's the problem: you have Magic. You have Kareem. You have Chamberlain. You have Kobe. You have Shaq. You have all of these greats. LeBron is on that list now. You're right. Where do you put Jerry West? Some will say Jerry West is near the top, even with all those great players, because he was so good, so consistent throughout his career.
Yeah, he might even be on the Mount Rushmore, and that's tough. I mean, where do you start to cut off, some of it? It's probably, and so you put Kobe on that Mount Rushmore no matter what. You put Kareem probably on that Mount Rushmore. I would think Magic, and I would think Jerry West. So there's my 4. If I had to go Mount Rushmore of Laker greats, that's my 4 right there. But then what do you do with Wilt? He's like the odd man left out. Like, that's unfair. Right? Elgin Baylor, he's left out. That's unfair.
You could make an argument, by the way. You could make an argument. West, and you could even say Kareem are on your list because LeBron has played with a lot of other teams during his career. Same thing goes with Shaq and some of these other players. And, even though Kareem came to the Lakers after going to Milwaukee, he only played a few seasons in Milwaukee, played the majority of his career with the Lakers. And you want to think about this, if you want to go Mount Rushmore, let's go with lifers. Let's go with guys that played with the Lakers for their entire career. Some will argue Elgin Baylor should be on that list for his entire career spent with the Lakers. So I have no problem with that. In fact, to me, between Kobe, Jerry West, and then you look at Kareem and who else did I say?
Magic.
And
yeah.
Magic. Yeah, I mean that's a fair list because you're dealing with guys that just about played their entire career, if not 90% of their career, with the Lakers.
Yeah, I like that list right there. Also, it's like the most relevant player for the Lakers on every generation or decades. Like, you can kind of look back and say, okay, well, Kareem meant so much to this generation. Magic meant so much to that generation. And then the current generation right now, you talk about Kobe and the impact that he's left on them.
Great point. All right, good start to the show, 16 past the hour as we continue. We'll get to phone calls a little bit later. But up next, Jay Jaffe talking baseball and beer right after Charlie 1 and this traffic update.
We have a tie-up right here on the freeway. I want to get to this one.
From Fangraphs.com. In fact, I'm on Fangraphs right now. There's a story from Davey Andrews about launch angle, saying maybe the launch angle revolution wasn't really about launch angle. And on that same note, Jay writing about O'Neal Cruz, to name just one of many, that is up at the website at Fangraphs.com. Jay, welcome back. Great to have you on the show as always. And let's start with O'Neal Cruz, because he was one of those hyped rookies that everybody was talking about. And then came the left fibula fracture, and It's funny because now, even though he's really, hitting the ball well, there are other names making headlines. I don't want to say that O'Neal Cruz is a forgotten man, but Paul Skeens is grabbing all the headlines right now in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this Pirates team between Skeens and Jared Jones and Nick Gonzalez, it's suddenly it's a much more interesting team, and I would include Cruz in that, but he, unlike those other guys who pretty much found quick success this season with the Pirates, Cruz started slowly, and as you mentioned. He had that fractured fibula. He missed all but 9 games last season after breaking his ankle sliding into home plate, a very awkward slide. And, really, like many players who miss a whole season, he struggled at the beginning. The numbers weren't great, showed some hints of having tried a few things, was trying to go the other way a little bit more. But really... needed to make some adjustments, and the Pirates have been very patient with him, and the hitting coaches have worked well with him, and it does seem now like those adjustments are paying off. He still strikes out a lot, but he's hitting more home runs. He's got top of the scale raw power, and the exit velocity stats on him, hard hit balls and barrel rates and things like that are just off the charts. So when he makes contact, he makes huge contact. He's got the second highest barrel rate and second highest average exit velocity since May 1st, with Aaron Judge the only guy ahead of him. And that, I think, really hints at his capability, because this guy's 6'7", and he's got massive power, and if he can put it all together, he's going to be an all-star.
Is he somebody you think can stay at shortstop?
I don't think he's going to be a forever shortstop. He's got a top of the scale arm. He had at one point the fastest throw that's since been surpassed a couple times, but his lateral range is not great, and certainly breaking your ankle is not a way to make it better. But I think the Pirates are right to let him try to play shortstop and see if he improves or can hold down the position for at least another year here. I think eventually he's going to find a home, whether it's right field or third base. Probably not third base, because the Pirates do have Ke'Bryan Hayes there. But that arm will play somewhere. That bat should be able to play anywhere. Right now, he's still pretty early in his career. He's played, in fact, exactly 158 games, so more or less the equivalent of a full season so far. He's 25 years old. We've got a long way to go before we really know what he's fully capable of.
Oh, you're right about that. But no, it's fun. I mean, I feel like we're lucky. We've really seen some terrific young talent that has been coming through the last couple of years. I mean, Gunnar Henderson right now is really coming into his own in Baltimore. You mentioned O'Neal Cruz. Probably within the next year or so, we'll start to see now Holiday also come back to the bigs and get another chance with the Orioles. And, you look at Wyatt Langford and the rookies that Texas has. There's some really nice young ball players around baseball.
Yeah, we've had some excellent crops of prospects. They don't always pan out immediately, and you got to be patient. You got to keep that in perspective, because I get all the time questions like, "Is this guy a bust?" And it's like he's 21 years old. He's had 1 month in the majors. I mean, if you start thinking that those guys are busts, I mean, like Jackson Holiday, I think is a good example. He struggled in his first exposure, but that's going to help him down the road, because now he knows some of the adjustments he's going to have to make, and he'll be a much more familiar place when he comes up next time to help the Orioles. You
wrote about the Yankee-Dodgers series at Yankee Stadium. Did you get a chance to go out and watch some of those this weekend?
Yeah, I went Friday as a fan, sat in our season ticket group's seats, and got to enjoy that one. And then on Sunday, I was in the press box, working in a clubhouse beforehand, hearing from both managers and some players and things like that, and so it was interesting to get both perspectives, and really, the mutual respect of both teams, I think, was very interesting, and so I wasn't surprised that the Dodgers weren't able to complete a sweep, because the Yankees have been playing great baseball. The Dodgers kind of snapped out of a funk. I think they needed to play a good team to remind themselves of what they're capable.
What's more fun for you, going as a fan or going media?
You know, they're both fun. Different ways though. Every time I go media, it's a lot of pressure. You know, I got to come up with something to justify my the extra time I spend there, because it ends up being a long day. In this case, it was almost about 3 hours back and forth because of how much deeper in Brooklyn I am. So you got to use the time well, and you got to be efficient with it. But you know, it's still great to go as a fan and to just be able to kick back and have a beer. You know, I'm lucky that I do get to do both, and I still enjoy you know, that aspect of it as well.
Jay Jaffe with us here on Sports Talk as we continue on the program. And I wonder, by the way, had the Yankees been able to have Juan Soto in that lineup in that Dodgers series, they might have been able to take more than just one game. I mean, it's what a difference he makes to that lineup. I almost feel like the Yankees without Soto and or Judge are such a different team, and you realize just how important they both are to that club's chance to try to, you know, go all the way and win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they went out and got Soto. To be fair, Trent Grisham did have that 3-run home run that sent them past the Dodgers on Sunday night, and he probably would not have been playing that night had Soto not been there. I mean, the fans were chanting, "We want Soto, we want Soto," and then he hit the pivotal home run there. You know, yes, I think that series may well have tilted in the Yankees' direction had Soto gotten any playing time there in the first two games. The guy did well against the Dodgers before, and he certainly can hit.
More with Jay as we keep things moving here on Sports Talk. But first, let's get right back to it. We've got Michael Plundo standing by with this bottom of the hour Sports Center update. Fan JT Realmuto's going to have knee surgery and hopefully try to fix all that right knee pain that he's suffering. And you know, he's been pretty much that guy, that catcher, that you know, one bat in the lineup you can rely on, you know, for these last few years. And he's going to be missing a month. I'm very interested to see how the Phillies will be playing with Garrett Stubbs in the lineup as opposed to JT Realmuto.
Yeah, the Phillies have been playing excellent baseball. They've got the best record in the majors right now. Realmuto has actually been only okay, at least in terms of offense. But you know, good catchers don't grow on trees, and he's done a great job of handling that pitching staff. I mean, you look, they've got 4 of their 5, including Ranger Suarez, who's got an ERA below 2. Zach Wheeler in the low 2s. So he's been doing a very good job of shepherding that rotation, and that's something that I think the Phillies will really miss more than just his bat, which has been, you know, slightly above average, but and definitely above average for the position, but unremarkable in the context of his career. The Phillies have some other injuries though, and this is starting to pile up here. They're still without Trey Turner. They're still without Brandon Marsh. They're going to get their depth tested here over the next few weeks.
Talk about the patellar tendonitis in his left knee. He has had a terrific season in the outfield for the Padres this year. In fact, what a bargain. $1 million contract. Here's a guy who's second in the big leagues right now, Jay. .324 batting average. He's got a .424 on base. And somebody who, you know, has been, I guess, a bargain for a team that has been known to spend a lot of money and not always get the big return on their investments.
Yeah, it's funny. I wrote about Profar coming back to the Padres this year, this spring when he signed, and he was coming off just an absolutely terrible season, something like over 2 wins below replacement level. He was that bad in Colorado, and then he kind of perked up once he was picked up off the waiver pile with the Padres in September of last year. I'm still not sure exactly what the tweaks they've made him. I haven't had a chance to investigate it myself here, but he has been great. He's been hitting like a Juan Soto here, .324 average, NL best .424 on base, .500 slug, 10. Obviously, you know, this guy's seen the ups and downs. I mean, former number 1 prospect who missed the better part of 2 seasons due to shoulder injuries, and then hit and replacement level, has never been able to string together 2 good seasons in the majors back to back. But really somebody I continue to root for because he was such a fun prospect, and now he's obviously at the top of his game. So I hope this doesn't affect him too much.
Let's go back to the Yankees for a second. What are you hearing about a possible return date for Garrett Cole?
It sounded like he was going to make one more rehab start. So I think we're looking at probably towards the end of this month here. You figure, third week of June or something like that.
Yanks have been so good in that rotation without him. Now, I guess the one guy that will fall out of the rotation will be Cody Poteet, the 29-year-old, who's also pitched very well in his limited starts for the Yanks. So, you think about what they've been able to get with guys like Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt until he went down with the injury, Rodon, and even somebody like Marcus Stroman. Adding Garrett Cole could be just exactly what the Yanks are looking for, assuming he's able to stay healthy.
Yeah, Luis Gil has pitched his way onto the All-Star team. I don't think you could not include him on the All-Star team. He's got a 2.04 ERA. This is a kid who was coming off of Tommy John surgery. Didn't even pitch in the majors last year. It had one outing in 2022, so it had been 3 years since he had any kind of major league experience, and really has quickly put it together and has pitched better than Garrett Cole did last year when he won the Cy Young Award, to be quite frank. But I think the big blow for the Yankees, potential big blow, was losing Clark Schmidt for what's probably going to be about 2 months due to a lat strain. Cody Poteet, who you mentioned, has stepped in. He's had 3 pretty solid starts, including the Friday night start. Aaron Boone took him out after 4 2/3 innings, and it really had a ripple effect the next day because he had to go burn through so many relievers. But when they get Cole back, they'll bump Poteet out of the rotation. But at some point, they're going to have to deal with Gil's innings. Because he's ramped up so much. There's already been talk that he's going to be spending some time in the bullpen down the road here in order to keep him available for the playoffs. You can never have too much pitching, and I think the Yankees are lucky they've gotten out of these guys what they have. But, Nestor Cortez, Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, those guys come with significant injury histories. So, they're probably still going to be looking for help at the deadline, but they just won't have to engineer a blockbuster.
Jay, what are we writing about here in the next couple?
Well, I'm doing something that kind of was inspired by the O'Neill Cruz article, and that's guys who started the season slowly and have been particularly much better since May 1st. But their overall stats may not look like they've had remarkable seasons, and I think. Some of these guys, like Cruz, are guys who are coming back from injuries, and in fact, I think Corey Seager is going to be one of them. And I'm trying to think who else here that I've got on my list. I'm still just kind of figuring out who I want to write about. Gavin Lux of Matt Chapman, who had that late signing with the Giants, is another one. So there's some interesting stories here and some interesting looks, and I think a lot of it does speak to. Getting comfortable as the season goes on, getting more reps. I mean, Aaron Judge kind of fit the bill as well here.
Gavin Lux has been so miserable, but he's finally starting to pick it up. Had a couple of hits and a ribby last night, and you just wonder if maybe now the power will be next because he just has not been hitting for the kind of power that the Dodgers expected.
Yeah, he's never been a huge power hitter, but he's has a nice offensive game. All around when he's healthy. He had 3 hits on Sunday night. Really does seem like he's starting to get it together a bit more, and the Dodgers could use that. Infield is whichever position Mookie Betts isn't playing has been something of a weak spot for them the last couple of years. Losing a whole year for Lux was a really bad blow, but it's nice to see him showing signs of getting back on track at least.
Wrap it up. Beer pick of the week. What do we want to talk about?
All right, so last night I had some friends over. My friend Nick fired up my new smoker here. and made his ribs, which he's been recipe he's been perfecting for over 20 years. Another friend came over, brought some Other Half beer, one of the great local breweries here, and he brought some cans of one of my all-time favorites here. This is Other Half Hop Showers. This is a double dry hopped IPA, hazy, lychee nut and orange and grapefruit notes about it. 7.4% ABV. I think Citra and Amarillo hops are the predominant ones in this one. Really just a fantastic beer. One I would keep in the fridge all the time if I could.
Hey, by the way, I love the idea that you got a new smoker, and now friends are coming over and bringing food and using their recipes. So you're getting your smoker broken in by people who are experienced at what they do. That's a good strategy, Jay. I like that.
Yeah, well, what's funny is, my friend who does the ribs, he usually makes them up at his parents' place up in Northampton, Massachusetts, and he doesn't have an outlet here. He needs a medium, basically, and so here it is. I've got this. He was actually the one who recommended that I go for something beyond just your typical 3-burner Weber stove or Weber grill, and he's probably going to be doing more smoking on this than I am here. He's going to at least teach me the ropes. So I thought it's turning out to be a good strategy here so far.
Yeah, as long as you benefit, that works out really, really well. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, we'll do it next week. Thanks for the time as always.
All right, sure thing.
Jay Jaffe, folks, Fangraphs.com as we continue here on Sports Talk. 19 in front of 5. A lot more in store for you. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso.
This Friday?
Going once.
And every Friday?
Going twice.
Starting at 10 a.m.
Going.
Open the station's mobile app or go online.
Going.
There it is. Dining deals.
I got it.
This Friday, 100 dining deals will go on sale for half price. On sale at KLAQ.com, KissElPaso.com, and 600ESPNElPaso.com. 50 for 25. 100 dining deals on sale this Friday, 10 a.m.
Track One is now headed to your events. Perfect for graduation parties, pool parties, office parties, and summer get-togethers. Savor their famous double-dip wings and more. All available but don't want to wait? Order takeout and enjoy your favorites at home or work. From sizzling wings to savory bites, their menu brings the taste of Track One to any event. Visit TrackOneElPaso.com to place your order, and they'll make your next gathering unforgettable. Track One, your fast track for a tasty gathering.
In the El Paso Metroplex, the trouble spot, the main one that we have right now tying up traffic is I-10 East at the Bot Spaghetti Bowl. We have a collision, right lane taken away here. So there's some congestion. There's some backup here, 10 East at Spaghetti Bowl with that right lane taken away, back up to Piedras here. And then on the other side of the mountain, we have I-10 West at Mesa, right lane taken away, back up to Sunland Park. That's because a lot of construction going on there, taking away the right lane, I-10 West at Mesa. Also, I-10 East and Schuster, taking away the right lane there for construction. We have a crash at Mesa in Osborne. And Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Remcon, treat your dad to Father's Day. Leo's Restaurant, we have everything you need there. Delicious. Treat your dad to chile con queso steak or chicken breast, flautas, fajitas, gorditas, pan pequeña, top sirloin steak, chicken breast. You can choose menu, the menu, just a full menu, including the margaritas to go. Leo's Restaurant, 7520 Remcon, Charlie 1600, ESPN El Paso.
Back here on Sports Talk. 47 now past the hour. 505-6009, our telephone number. It's 505-6009 as we continue with you. We've talked about Jerry West, the start of the show. How about the fact that we've got Game 3 tonight, Mavs and Celtics? Look, I'll say this. The NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals are the exact same, meaning both home teams won their first two games, don't win tonight. And the Oilers don't win tomorrow night. These series are over because there is no way the Celtics are dropping 4 in a row. Just like there's no way the Florida Panthers are going to lose 4 in a row. Quite the opposite. We could be talking sweep here on both of these series if the home teams don't win tonight.
Yeah, it's all pressure on Dallas, and they got a bit of good news going their way, a bit of bad news going Boston's way as Kristaps Porzingis officially ruled out for tonight's game. We kind of thought that would be the case. He has torn something small, a small tendon in his left leg. They said that an injury like this has not been recorded in any sport since 2006. And I think it's fitting for Kristaps Porzingis. No offense to him, man. I mean, I think it's fitting for somebody who's unfortunately had to deal with so many injuries that he gets this like uncharacteristic injury that no one's heard about in decades.
What is a medial retinaculum? What is that?
No clue. Tendon.
All I know is I've heard of a medial collapse.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a medial retinaculum. I mean, I don't even know what this is. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it. When I was digging, news first broke, Steve, I didn't even know what it was. Like, I was like, well, where is this? Is this in his leg? Is this in his foot? Is this in his ankle? Where is this? And then they finally, thank you to, I think it was Jeff Schwartz on social media who finally dissected it and found out that it was, it's in your left leg. It's basically a tendon tear. They're just, creating some fancy ways of saying it.
I got 56009, our telephone number. That's 505-6009. Look, without Kristaps Porzingis, that does give the Dallas Mavericks a better chance to win Game 3 at home tonight, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Not the way the Boston Celtics have been playing so far.
No, but you know what? If Dallas is smart, this is your opportunity. The time is now. If you're going to win a game with Kristaps out, you need to get some momentum going. You need to make some shots, win this game, focus on the next game at a later time. Just focus on this one today, and then you'll see what happens. You're going to dread that return to Boston, and you're going to have to steal one away there. But like I said, you'll worry about that at a later time. You need to get your mojo back. You need to get your shot back. You need to get your groove back, and if you don't do that here today, odds are you're probably going to get swept or just a gentleman's sweep, a quick 4-1, and that'll be it, and that'll be disappointing. But with Luka getting shots pre-game and the way they've been playing, that doesn't sound too good for Dallas.
Let me go to the phones right now. Memphis Drew is joining us next as we continue. Drew, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing good, Steve. How about yourself?
Fine, thanks, Drew.
Yeah, I'm sorry to see the passing of Jerry West, former Memphis Grizzlies general manager.
Yep.
He helped save that franchise that we were struggling for a while, and he did his homework, did his due diligence. He hired Hubie Brown out of the woodwork and drafted Pau Gasol, and
Sure did.
Yeah, we lost Chet Walker also. He was a great basketball player.
Well, let's put it this way. We've lost some good ones. I mean, that's true. You mentioned Chet Walker. You can add Bill Walton to that list.
Yeah, of course.
We've lost some greats over the last few weeks.
Of course. I see New Mexico State grabbed one of my ex-Tiger players. What do you think of that?
I mean, as a freshman, he didn't play much. He didn't score much. But he was a very regarded player out of high school, so I like it for New Mexico State. Maybe they can develop him here a lot better than they could over there.
Yeah.
Appreciate the phone call. Thanks for getting in today, Drew. We'll talk to you soon. Keep things moving right now. We'll go to Enrique, who joins us next. Enrique.
Hey, Cap. Thanks for taking my call. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. Thanks, Enrique. What's going on?
So, Friday, they're changing the start time for the first pitch for the first game of the series for the Yankees and the Red Sox because of the potential final game of Celtics and Mets. So, my question I wanted to pose to you guys is I understand, it's two different games, it's the finals, it's a regular season game, but what do you, to you personally, what takes more precedent? The rivalry or watching the Celtics win another championship?
Well, first off, that's assuming Dallas loses tonight. So how crazy would it be if they're so worried about this and Dallas ends up winning and then it doesn't matter? And by the way, throughout the history of sports, They've always played regular season games at regular season times. But that's just me. I mean, again, I do remember that in past years when some teams are on the verge of winning, the regular games are played in the in ballparks, and then what they'll do is they'll just flash the scores up, or even sometimes show the TV screen so fans can see it while it's going on and kind of keep them abreast of everything.
I think that's what they're trying to alleviate from. A lot of the Red Sox fans able to, after the game, go to the Celtics game if they want to go to. But I guess for me,
wait a minute, it's in the game with the game's in Dallas. I don't even understand when you're saying go.
Yeah. That was my mistake. That's my bad. I thought it was in Boston. No, you're right. It's in Dallas.
So that's even weirder as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I'm my whole thing is right now. I get it. Game 4 is. They would play 2 hours. They tip off 2 hours after the baseball game, but I don't know. I mean, look, if you go to the game in Fenway for the Yankees-Red Sox, a lot of these people are going to have their phones. They're going to be able to watch the basketball game while they're at the baseball game. I mean, nowadays with technology, to me, it's not that big a deal anymore.
It's not, but personally, I wouldn't have changed it.
I wouldn't either.
It's a rivalry.
Yep, I agree with you. Enrique, thanks for the call. I'm a little overdue, but I want to give Mike an opportunity to end the hour reflecting on Jerry West. Mike, I'm running low on time, but go ahead. I'll give you the final word this hour.
Thanks, Steve. Real quick, Jerry West, back in the 69, 68 area, there was no media coverage. It was Sports Illustrated. The Lakers did what they did. They played the Celtics every year, and Willis Reed, yes, he is the logo. But when you look at the Laker teams, I think you look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Norm Nixon, James Worthy, who is very underrated. These guys played in the 80s. They beat the Celtics. They beat the 76ers. And those were the Laker teams. Shaq came in. He couldn't win in Charlotte. Kobe is Kobe. But, Jerry West was the logo.
Yep.
The logo.
Way to put it. All right, Mike, thanks for the call. Reflecting on the great Jerry West, who we lost today at the age of 86. We're back with Hour 2 in a moment. Sports Talk continues, 600 ESPN El Paso.
Steve Kaplowitz and Adrian Broadus.
All right, start of hour number 2. We also have Michael Plundo and Alberto Urueta here as well, hanging with us on this Wednesday edition of the program. Ricardo Pepi in the 9 spot today for the U.S. national team against Brazil as part of the Continental Clásico that is going on at right now. Actually, this game gets underway. Let me see if we can go to TNT and get this information. Let me see here if we've got that. There we go. The men's international soccer friendlies. Alberto, you excited about this for Team USA?
Yeah, this is a huge test for the team. They had a horrible outing against Colombia, and I call it horrible because they got whooped, 5-1, and this Brazil team doesn't come any softer. They have an exceptional squad. The trident up front is Vinicius Jr. at $180 million market price. Rodrigo, also his teammate at Real Madrid, at $110 million. Rafinha from Barcelona. That's the trident of attack right there for Brazil, and they're a great team altogether throughout. So, yeah, this is a big test. Tim Weah from the United States men's national team talked about the response the team had after the goal start against Colombia, and he said that he was kind of disappointed at the team's response. And I'll just kind of quote back to that time that I said that the players were going to be tired. They're mentally exhausted. They've had a long season with their clubs. These guys have played really competitive games in the European leagues. It's been a long season, and now they're trying to lock in for an even longer tournament, and it's not going to be easy. So you're kind of seeing the effect of that when you start seeing the score turn from 2-1 to to 4-1 and then to 5-1. Yeah, it's obvious that some of the guys are going to be a little disappointed. It's a mental game, obviously. It's a physical game, but it's also a mental game. And when you're not all mentally prepared, I think that reflects in your game, and we saw that. And so hopefully they have a better outing today.
Couple of interesting notes about this. There's the average age of 25 years, 151 days. The starting lineup tonight is the second youngest that the U.S. men's national team has fielded in 20 all-time matches against Brazil. Coming in behind the 11 that began the last meeting on September 7th, 2018, when they were 23 years. Again, that's interesting when you start to think about it. Also, tonight's lineup, third most experienced in 71 matches under Greg Burkhalter, ranking second behind only the starting 11 from the 2019 Gold Cup final against Mexico. Two lineup changes from Saturday's match against Colombia. Ricardo Pepi is one. He is in for Bulligan, and then also Yunus Musa is in for Johnny Cardoso. So it'll be interesting to see with Pepi in the lineup if that does make a difference for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, hopefully they put up more than one goal. That's just simply not enough. And I'll go back and talk some history here. The United States men's national team have only beaten Brazil once, and it was in a 1-0 win in Los Angeles in 1998, coming from a goal from Preki. And that came also with the 10-save game from goalkeeper Casey Keller that kept Brazil and Romario off the score sheet. And look, Lucas Paqueta, they're getting ready to start this game off here for Brazil. It's a daunting task to beat a team like Brazil. You know, they're world champions 5 times for a reason, and they always constantly line up some of the better players. And you know, Neymar's not even on this.
That's right.
On this roster.
By the way, have you looked at the U.S. jerseys tonight? They're wearing their blue unis with the tie-dye look, and then it's almost like a blue and white tie-dye, and the red underneath it. Do we like that?
I do. I like what they've done with the United States men's national team shirt. They always mix them up, and they always come out with nice ones. I wish I had a long sleeve. I'll see if anyone has a long sleeve one.
Have you bought this yet? Have you added this to your jersey collection?
No. I don't have any United States men's national team jerseys.
Why is that?
Not a fan, right?
Not a fan. No, I saw a Marshall's player edition when I saw a player edition.
How long ago?
I want to say 4 or 5 months. I didn't even buy it.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like,
which jersey was it?
The white one. It was nice. It was the white one, and it had the feel of it. You know, the player edition feel of it, and it's kind of like a cheetah print almost.
Yeah, and you blew it off.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't want it.
Really?
I thought about buying it for someone else, but at the time, I was like, nah.
Oh, that's crazy. Adrian, do you and Michael like these jerseys?
I like these jerseys. I prefer the white ones. I think those are the best U.S. soccer kits that you'll find out there, as far as all white or using white as the dominant base. But as far as blending the two, they use more of a royal blue on this one versus like a navy blue like they've done here in the recent past. And that red right there, it feels like a USA red. So I like that.
Are they going pride look with the rainbow color numerals? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I believe it's Pride Month.
It is Pride Month. I just didn't know if the jersey numbers are normally like that or they did that just because of Pride Month. I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched a soccer match in a while for Team USA, so I haven't studied the numbers to see if the rainbow design was something new for this year or they just decided to do that for Pride Month.
It's rainbow-themed numbers inspired by Pride during the matches in June, so okay. That's exactly it. Hey, Alberto, I'll ask you this. Ricardo Pepi, does he have a lot of pressure in this game? Because he wasn't part of this team recently, and it seems like it's a bittersweet moment that obviously he's here, but it's against Brazil. Like, how well do we expect him to play?
Well, you want him to have a good game, right? You want him to. He plays in PSV Eindhoven, and so he does play some top quality competition. So he's not new to competition to this level. So you want him to have a great outing here against the Brazilian national team, so that he can make a great case for himself for the Copa America squad, and he can make the final list there. So I think that this game is kind of huge, but not too huge. You know, every game is big when your career is in the stage that Ricardo Pepi's is. You know, and I think that if he has a great performance here, it'll be huge.
It's his first start of the year. I mean, we're in June, and he hasn't started until tonight. So I don't necessarily think it's an enormous game from pressure-wise. I mean, it's great that he's finally getting the start, but it just goes to show you that, he has not been in the plans as far as the starting 11 for Team USA. And, maybe if he scores tonight against Brazil or does something spectacular, it'll give him an opportunity to earn a more prominent role.
Yeah, and you got to just think about the depth that the men's national team has at that position. They have Ricardo Pepi, but they also have Tim Weah, who plays for Juventus. They have Pulisic, who plays at AC Milan. So it's not like they don't have talent at that position. In fact, they have a lot of talent at that position. So he's lucky to be rubbing shoulders with some of those guys and picking up tips from them. So he's a great athlete, but this is a position that the United States men's national team has a lot of depth at.
By the way, they sold more than 57,000 tickets as of this morning in Orlando for this match. They already call this the highest for a U.S. men's or women's national team match in Florida. So, you think about that. 57,000 tickets. Who knows? Maybe they're up to 60 by now. It's a lot of tickets sold for these two.
Yeah, I know that it's the summer of soccer. It's here, and it's going to be huge, right? And that's the idea, that you're trying to grow American soccer in preparation for Copa America and also in World Cup coming. This shot rings off the top of the post there. Can't see from here who hit that, but USA almost put up one here early in the 4th minute.
Yep,
off the left foot.
That was close, but and I think that was from Musa. From Yunus Musa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, teammate there at AC Milan of Christian Pulisic.
Oh, right off the top of the crossbar.
And out of the hands, right out of the extension of Alisson.
Yep.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, wow. So they get the first good scoring chance early in this match. And, it's...
showing life.
Yeah, for 4 minutes into the match, Team USA had a legit shot to take the lead, which is good. It's what you want to see.
You want to see them capitalize on this early so they can jump on Brazil and kind of stun them. That's kind of the hope, I think.
That's right. Just saw this from Texas Truth on Twitter and X. He's got a USA with the flag and the soccer ball. Also, this from earlier, Pinky. Watching Jerry West play as a youth, I was impressed when he dribbled. I, for one, do say it's him on the logo. Ivan getting in. Ivan Pierre Aguirre regarding the logo. I presume the reason the NBA never admitted it was his silhouette in the NBA logo, because no one is bigger than the game. All right. So maybe that's so.
Well, okay, maybe it's royalties. I don't.
That could be it too.
I don't
You're
believe
right.
that. There, what Ivan said, I don't believe that whatsoever. I think that's wrong. But it could be royalties. Maybe they didn't want to officially name it to Jerry West and then have to pay him royalties every single year.
Yeah, that's what makes the most sense. I mean, if you officially say it's him, he's going to be like, well, you sell my face. They're on my
For
face
how
is
long?
on the jerseys, and he can make a claim for a serious amount of money.
I mean, not to mention, I think it was like 7 years ago, Jerry West went on the record and said he wanted the NBA to find a new logo, and he also said he wished it never became public knowledge that he was the guy they used for the logo. So, and you're right, he's not being paid royalties for being the logo.
And his face is everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, it's just the way things are. Would it be cool if they turned the Jumpman logo into the NBA logo? Would that be something people would be excited about?
I can't get behind it. I'm looking at it right now with the it still has the red and blue split down the middle with the white accents.
Yeah.
That doesn't look good.
You don't like that?
The logo's kind of already everywhere with guys wearing shoes and stuff. So yeah, I'm all for a rebrand of the logo, but that's not the answer right there.
So I'm not. To me, it's a classic logo.
Yeah, I
just
like it.
Just like the Major League Baseball logo. That's a classic logo. I don't feel like that ever needs to change. I'm all for, keeping things the same. I don't feel like if it's good, why change it? If it's iconic, why change it?
The only change I could get behind was something that was proposed when he tragically passed away, and that was switching it from the current logo to either the Kobe a jump step logo or the Kobe fadeaway logo. So that's maybe something I could get behind eventually if they were to change it, but right now it's fine. So I remember when he passed away, when Kobe tragically died, they thought about, hey, would you ever switch the logo to Kobe and switch it up like that? So that's a thought.
I could definitely get behind that. Kobe's a legend, but you know what? You brought up the MLB one, and there's kind of a certain lore to these logos. For example, the lore behind the MLB one is he batting lefty or righty? You don't know. And the lore to the NBA one is it Jerry West or is it someone else? And I think that there's just something to that if you change it, you take from it.
Well, we know he's dribbling with his left hand. That we do know. So at least that's something we could say. All right. 16 past. Let's go to Charlie for traffic. Then we'll come back. A little Jeff Erickson talking some fantasy sports with us next as we continue 600 ESPN El Paso. It's in, but Christian Pulisic hit the deck, and now as a result, we'll see what happens from the replay, but we could have a point-blank PK opportunity for Team U.S. in their friendly against Brazil. So that is also an interesting thing to keep an eye on. In the meantime, Jeff Erickson back with us from Rotowire. Injuries, bad injuries, devastating injuries. Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, Robert Gasser, Alec Manoah, all out for the season. And this all happened within about a 10-day period. Incredible.
Yeah, and two more for the Astros. I mean, they didn't have a single pitch from Urquidy this year, but their starting rotation's been decimated this year. As my colleague Joe Sheen likes to point out in his newsletter, though, Astros really don't have a whole lot of ammo to trade for an impact starting pitcher. They'll have to try to find some sort of rental though, because clearly they're in it to win it. That's why you roster someone like a Justin Verlander to begin with there. Mm-hmm. And honestly, they got some ground to make up too. I mean, I think that's their other issue.
They do. But by the way, I will say this. Hunter Brown and Spencer Arrighetti have both pitched very well as of the last month or so. Yeah,
they've stabilized quite a bit. And, with Javier out for the year, Arrighetti's got that spot in the rotation for a while. It looked like either one of he or Brown was going to be out. But now, until they get some reinforcements back, I mean, they're looking at definitely getting, those two staying in the rotation maybe for the rest of the season. We'll see.
Yep. Meanwhile, speaking of we'll see, the U.S. just tied it. The PK is good, so Christian Pulisic ties it at 1, and now U.S. back in this matchup. So that is fun to watch. We'll keep an eye on that as well. All right. By the way, what are the Braves doing? They have so many young arms. I was looking at this a little while ago. Hurston Waldrop was the latest, their former first-round pick to get a shot, and he got batted around pretty good, I think, in the third or fourth inning of his first start. But then you look at the other pitchers that are on this list. Spencer Swellenbach is another one, and the last couple of years, I always feel like the Braves are trotting out all of their young arms and giving them an opportunity.
Yeah, that's one thing they'll do. If they feel a guy is ready, they don't play around with like service time games or anything. That they'll get them in there right away. The problem is, they haven't had too many of these six. AJ Smith-Shawver, for instance, has gotten hurt and has struggled in his own right a little bit there. Bryce Elder is someone that we haven't been able to count on, unfortunately, and he's back in the minors. They really struggled to fill that last spot. Schwellenbach had 2 starts in Double-A. They probably did rush him quite a bit. So we'll see what happens going forward, but this is one thing they're looking for. But the big problem for the Braves isn't the pitching. It's the hitting.
Yep.
Since Acuna got hurt, it's been especially bad. In the month of May, though, they were one of the lowest run scoring teams in baseball, which is just crazy to hear. But it's true. Austin Riley's having a bad year. Michael Harris is having a bad year. They really need to turn things up a little bit there. They're not getting that. They need those two guys to really step up with Acuna out.
You're right. I mean, Ozzy Albies is doing nothing special right now, and just the list goes on and on. It's been rough. It's been really, really rough. And Sean Murphy's only played 11 games so far at catcher. That's somebody that they relied a lot on right now. Matt Olson's batting .241, albeit with 9 home runs. But yeah, it's not the usual Braves we're talking about right now.
No, it isn't. And it's one of the things, like I picked up Jake Irvin a couple weeks ago and used him against the Braves, in part because the Braves aren't the Braves. And that's one of the things it's kind of worked out. He's pitching tonight against the Tigers. Gave up a first inning homer to Matt Vierling, but since then has stabilized a little bit. We'll see how deep he can go. But you know what? Run scoring again, though, is down in baseball, so it's not just the Braves that are hurting. It's other teams. The Reds had a horrific stretch in May. They're hitting a little bit better now, but the point is, you look across baseball, league-wide batting average is 240 right now. It's as bad as it's been since, I think, 1968. It's just really bad to watch right now. And, and the thing is, the rule changes last year were supposed to goose up batting average, and they did for a year. It was 248 last year. The year prior was 243. Now we've reverted back. Pitchers have adjusted. I think the ball is not traveling as far. If you look at results compared against exit velocity, you're getting significantly worse results on barrels and high exit velocity hits. So I think the ball might be a little deader. Maybe the humidor is a little geared up too much for these places. Whatever case, the batters are lagging behind the advancements made by pitchers.
No, they really are. And, again, that's something that we'll see if they're able to catch up on that. Meanwhile, let's talk about some of the other great storylines right now in baseball and bring up a guy that's been terrific for the Giants. He's 24 years of age. He's in the outfield, and another guy that you can tell me the correct pronunciation, because according to Baseball Reference, here it is. I guess it's Elliot Ramos. Is that fair? Elliot Ramos?
I think the H is silent. I think you're right about that.
Okay.
From Puerto Rico, and he's a first-round pick in 2017. You want to look at, they kind of dig pretty far down to look at, okay, well, it's been a while. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting, yet he's still 24. And when these guys sign so young or get drafted so young, it just requires a little bit of what my colleague Ron Chandler likes to call excruciating patience. You just really have to wait on these guys. And Ramos, this is his first real extended chance in the bigs. He saw 9 games in 2022, 25 games last year. Really struggled. But then you look at his numbers in AAA, and you're like, oh, okay, I could see it there a little bit there. Really was tearing it up at Sacramento. Now, granted, this is we talk about this a lot with PCL players. There's a lot of good ballparks to hit in the PCL, and so AAA stats should reflect that, and especially for a player that's first reached AAA in 2021. So happy to see what he's doing so far. Maybe look at this as a little bit of a heater and not what truly representative of what he's capable of doing.
Let's switch it over to the NBA tonight. Game 3, Dallas and Boston. Can you see the Mavs getting into this series again and winning their first game?
Yeah, the odds makers can. They install him as a 3-point favorite. No Porzingis tonight, and watch that. He may not play the rest of the series. We'll see. He's got a very rare, unique injury, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Basketball Reference doesn't give me any help with injury pronunciation, so we'll stop there. But I do know that changes things up a little bit there. The Dallas big men really have to contribute, and, of course, Irving needs to be Irving.
Yes, he does. That is very true, and if it happens, great. It's kind of like I said this earlier, Jeff, I feel like the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup are mirroring each other completely.
Yeah, they are. It's interesting, too, that this is just the 4th time all season that Boston's been an underdog and the first time in the playoffs.
Wow. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, if you go to Rotowire.com and you go to the front page, the first thing you see, major power rankings for the 2024 U.S. Open field. That's leading the way right now on the website.
Yeah, and I always love the U.S. Open. I love the majors and love Pinehurst. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know Adrian's there, Jones too, to watch all of that. Really should be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
Also, I want to mention this, too. You've got your best bets in the WNBA. We talk so much about all the sports. I think it's fair that we should talk about your coverage on WNBA.
Well, yeah, there's a demand for it now. I mean, obviously, Caitlin Clark's brought a lot to the table. This rookie class, Angel Reese games have been highly attended as well. It's one of those things where we have a bigger audience for the WNBA than we've ever had, and so our coverage mirrors that, reflects that. And Jason Shabelsky has done a really good job with that, picking those games, picking players, And if you play on Prize Picks or Underdog, anything where you get picks, pick games and all that, you can use our tools to help you do well on that. We just launched an app that, if you've got a Rotowire subscription, the app comes free for just the pick tool, so you can do that. Whether you got an Android or an Apple or an iPhone there, you can go ahead and use that there to try to do well on those games.
What is the app for people that would like to know?
The Rotowire Picks app.
Got it. Also, a lot of NFL content. You've loaded up about half a dozen stories in the last day alone as we're getting ready for the start of fantasy football season.
Yeah, that's right. It's never too soon. The way we look at it there is it's a constant market. I already have a couple of dynasty drafts that have been chattering lots of trades and all that, so we're getting ready for that. I know a lot of dynasty leagues. You play in dynasty leagues, that cycle is 365. So we have to be up on all that there. So we've got that. We had a set of consensus rankings that actually went up a couple weeks ago. So we're all about that right now.
Good stuff. All right, welcome back, Jeff. Good to have you on the show, and we'll do it again with you right back here next Wednesday.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
You got it. He's Jeff Erickson from Rotowire.com, your one-stop shop for all your fantasy sports. 19 in front of 6 o'clock. We'll come back, wrap up hour 2. We're with you till 6:30 in Chihuahuas baseball with Tim Haggerty right here, 600 ESPN El Paso. The hour. So, yesterday we were going in depth about how Takeru Kobayashi announced his retirement from competitive eating due to health concerns last month, and how he would not do this anymore because he suffered brain damage from essentially eating so much food his brain thinks he's competitive eating even when he's not. We felt really bad for him, right? We felt so bad that today we find out that it'll be Joey Chestnut against Takeru Kobayashi for the hot dog title September the 2nd in an event streamed on Netflix. So apparently Kobayashi's, retirement does not include one more shot against Joey Chestnut. So here's my question, boys. How much money are they paying Takeru Kobayashi to do this one last event against Joey Chestnut? Because if the guy is so bad off where he's retiring from competitive eating due to health concerns, yet he's now going back again one more time, you got to figure that they're throwing at least $1 million, if not a couple of mil at him to do this.
Yeah, they're definitely getting the bag. Credit to those guys, both Kobayashi and Chestnut, for both getting the bag for this. Credit to people who are going to watch this on Netflix, right? I mean, interesting audience. It's not necessarily the typical audience who's used to watching them on 4th of July, or both of them on 4th of July. I'll say this, though. It's great they're doing this on kind of like a extended weekend. I mean, being it that it's Labor Day weekend, people will definitely have a chance to tune in and see if they can, watch this one. I have Joey winning this one big time.
He's going to slaughter Kobayashi. He's going to kill him. Kobayashi said, quote, "Retiring for me will only happen after I take him down one last time." Well, I got news for you, Takeru. You're not retiring ever, because there is no way, unless suddenly Joey Chestnut develops an eating disorder, that you're going to suddenly win a hot dog eating contest against the guy that's got 55 world records.
You know what? Another thing to this, it's smart they're doing this on Netflix, and the fact that it happened so quickly, because it didn't give anybody an opportunity to go back and say, hey, no, we got this wrong. You need to join the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, Joey Chestnut. Please, please, please do it. That's not going to be the case, and so Netflix, credit to them. They jumped on this quick, and they got this done.
I wouldn't be surprised if Chestnut Kobayashi gets a heck of a lot more viewers than the Nathan's contest does on July 4th.
Oh, 100%. People watch for the GOAT, Joey Chestnut, not for the hot dog eating contest.
Not anymore. It used to be like that, but not anymore. So you're right about that. Anyway, I mean, I just started laughing when I saw that Kobayashi suddenly is back in it again? Because you're right, he got the bag. The only question is, how large is the bag? Isn't that what you want to know, too?
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I'm even interested when it's all said and done for those numbers to come out for Tom Brady's roast. Like, how much did he get for that? Like, how much is Netflix paying out to all the people who are involved in the quarterback series? Like, these are interesting facts to know, knowing that Netflix is entering a territory that's really started, I mean, probably a year, maybe 2 years ago, and that is sports. Really diving in headfirst into sports and trying to capitalize on that market.
I'm looking to see if anybody has an actual dollar value that is set. That is interesting. So, because you think about what Netflix is doing, by the way, right now. Netflix, look, they're bringing on Monday Night Raw. They're going to have the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. I guess that's delayed, but they're going to eventually have that. They've got Christmas Day NFL games, and now on top of it, they're taking the two biggest competitive eaters in the last 20 years, and they're throwing them against each other. So it sounds to me like Netflix is just trying to branch off into the sports entertainment world and do as much of that as they can.
So according to a couple sites I'm looking at, they estimate Tom Brady received up to $30 million in an FTX share payment for his roast on Netflix. So that's huge. If that's where the height of this or the ceiling of this is, yeah, Joey Chestnut, Kobayashi, they're definitely getting a couple million for doing this.
You got to figure at least that, right? If not more.
I think so.
Point.
Yeah, and then you talk about all the streaming royalties after the fact.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. And maybe the way it works is they get paid up front, and like you said, then they get a percentage of all the different views that start to get watched. That could be it, too.
Yeah,
Very
definitely
possible.
a possibility. I think it's just an interesting thing that Netflix is really committing themselves to live sports. I mean, you throw this in the mix of live, kind of like the side type of sports or secondary sports or the Ocho type of sports, but nonetheless, they're having hot dog eating contests on Netflix.
I want to watch that Netflix documentary, Hack Your Health, when Kobayashi talks about retiring and all the damage that these competitive eating contests have done to him.
Well, you just added a new watch item to my list on Netflix. I got to check that out.
Hack Your Health. That's right.
What a title.
That sounds like a winner, doesn't it? All right, look, 2 down, 30 minutes to go. What's the score of this soccer match right now? I'm not even looking. What do we have?
It's 1-1 still. Christian Pulisic. It wasn't a penalty. It was a free kick awarded right outside the box. It looked like it could have been a penalty, but he tucks that into the left post. It's 1-1 here, and they got 3 minutes left of stoppage time.
Excellent. When we come back, final 30 minutes. I'm going to be heading out right now to the state line, getting ready to welcome Dusty Lowe to the stage in about 90 minutes from now. So if you're heading out there, come by, say hi, and I'm going to be giving away some tickets to Bouts at the Ballpark. Boxing coming in a couple of weeks to Southwest University Park, featuring Fernando Vargas Jr. in the co-main event. So we'll do that coming up. But up next, Adrian, Alberto, Michael, and then Tim Haggerty from Albuquerque. They'll take you home, folks. Final 30 minutes, 600 ESPN El Paso.
All right, final 30 minutes here of Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon, along with Alberto Reta and Michael Plundo. I'm Adrian Broadus. Sal Montes coming in soon. 600 ESPN El Paso online. That is 600ESPNElPaso.com. Check it out. Also check out our free mobile app, 600 ESPN El Paso. Best way to tune in to the program. El Paso beat Albuquerque yesterday, 10-3. Tim Haggerty will join us here in less than 15 to talk a little El Paso Chihuahuas baseball. The second game out at Rio Grande Credit Union Field will take place tonight. Sean Reynolds on the mound for the Dogs. He's 2-0 on the season, going up against Albuquerque righty Peyton Battenfield. That's the setting going into Albuquerque tonight. Alberto, it's halftime right now. Brazil, U.S. It's a 1-1 draw here at the half. Give me some early takeaways from this matchup right here.
Well, I'll tell you this. You know what? Brazil's a well-formed team, and you can see that on the pitch today. And their attacks and especially their counterattacks on that men's national team are they're lethal. They build up quickly, and the United States men's national team have a difficult time dispossessing them. They've been lucky so far that this game's tied, as both teams have had some serious attacks. You know, on the other side, the United States the national team, Tim Weah, shoots from outside, as does Gio Reyna, and they both look great, as does Musa, as Cappy said earlier. So, yeah, I mean, from both sides, they look great offensively, but I think that on the men's side, on U.S. side, they lack a lot of defensive prowess. I feel like a lot of loose balls need to get controlled there because Brazil's going to make you pay.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, I mean, well, I'll get your halftime or your second half analysis here in just a bit because I want to get your thoughts on how the U.S. can actually win this one, and if they could solidify this one when it's all said and done. Hey, our telephone number, 915-505-6009. That's a telephone number to get into the program. If you want to duck in a late call, 600 ESPN El Paso on Twitter and X as well. That's another way you can connect with us on the program. This story came yesterday. I think it's really important news to mention. Let's talk about it a little bit. A lot of changes are coming to the high school level, and UIL actually announced this. I'll get your thoughts on this, guys. Changes are coming to volleyball, basketball, soccer, softball, baseball, basically every sport besides football. And the UIL announced this, and they solidified things yesterday. And yeah, there aren't changes to sports like swimming, sports like wrestling, sports like track and field, but at least for volleyball, basketball, soccer, softball, and baseball, we've got changes coming to the Lone Star State here with the UIL. So they met yesterday, the UIL. They proposed rule changes, and now split divisions have been passed in the postseasons, like in playoffs and stuff like that, for basketball, volleyball, soccer, softball, and baseball. So what does this mean right here? Well, football currently has split divisions. We talk a lot about 2-5A, 1-5A, 2-6A, or 6A2, Division 2, Division 1. I'll give you a quick example. Pebble Hills, they are one of the, most attended schools across El Paso. They are considered to be in 6A Division 2, the bigger school division, because of their size and what they offer as far as their attendance goes. So when they compete in football, they compete in that division versus a different team in 6A, which might not have as many students, and they might be in the 6A Division 1. Gets really confusing. I'll just put it honestly with all our listeners out there. It does. And this change to the current playoff structure would now allow split divisions in volleyball, softball, baseball. Now we're going to see this from 4A to 6A in soccer, and then 1A all the way to 6A in basketball. I think basketball, it impacts things most definitely. And this isn't a shock, by the way, so for people who are listening to this, it's not necessarily a shocker that this is taking place. But Alberto, this is something that they're hoping will try to mimic the football slate, and maybe, I'm not saying level the playing fields right there, but it's splitting the divisions. So you're going to have a very different playoff structure in El Paso for 5A, 6A schools out there. It's just interesting because now the opponents that they would typically play in the playoffs, maybe they won't be playing those opponents here moving forward.
You know what, the rivalries that are lost is kind of the only thing that you can really think of. But I think it's inherently fair that that schools that are roughly the same size, I feel like it's fair that they compete together, right? I don't like the idea that a school that is much larger than another one, I don't like the idea that they compete together because, let's be honest, they don't have the same resources and they don't have the same number of kids available. It's just a numbers game. So, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep schools that are roughly the same size playing together so it's competitive.
So I'll just throw another example. There's a big difference between Eastlake and maybe a school like El Dorado. There's a big difference between Pebble Hills and a school like Socorro. There's kind of a difference between a school like Pebble Hills and Coronado. And that's just the reality. There are these differences, like you're saying, resources, maybe attendance, and to put those teams and say that, hey, you got to be in the same playoff bracket. No, you might be in the same division, like 6A, 5A, whatever. But to be in the same playoff bracket and have to play these other schools that have these high of enrollments and stuff like that, I don't think that makes sense. So it's leveling the playing field a little bit more than what we used to see here in the past. 915-505-6009. Alberto, are you able to answer the phone here on 3? Go ahead and try. Let's see if we can do it. I'll punch the caller in here on my side. 915-505-6009 as we continue. Hey, again, one more note on this one. The districts will send the top 4 teams to the playoffs. From the 4 teams, 2 programs with the largest enrollment will be in Division 1. Others will be in Division 2. So there you go. That's just kind of like the little example right there. I gave gave the example of Pebble Hills. If they were the the highest enrollment school, they would actually be placed in Division I in these categories right here, like I was mentioning: baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer, and so on. So little changes going on right now in the UIL, and little structure changes moving forward. NBA Game 3, it's the finals coming up tonight. Man, I got to get both your thoughts on this one. Michael Plundo's working on an amazing research project that we're doing right now. Actually, I should say an online article series that he's going to be launching on our website here soon enough. But I got to get his thoughts on this. I got to get your thoughts too, Alberto. Boston, Dallas. All right, guys, gut check. You tell me, Michael, who wins this game? Just give me point blank who wins this game and why.
I think Dallas will take this one for a couple reasons. I think, losing Kristaps Porzingis for Boston really hurts. I mean, you look at what he's been able to do since he's come back so far, and Boston has played a lot better with him, and they've looked like a completely different team, if I'm being honest here.
Yeah, it's a good point. Keep going.
I just feel, losing him hurts. It's a killer. I mean, you don't want to lose a player who's been playing his best basketball. And when you got guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving on the other end of the team, that they could be licking their chops right now. And especially back at home where they've found themselves having great games in the postseason so far, there's no reason to think that Kyrie Irving could have a nice bounce back game here. And I think, I refuse to believe that the Celtics win 2 in a row at Dallas. I refuse to believe that. I think, Dallas isn't going to allow that. And I myself picked Boston to win this finals, but I think Dallas will steal this one.
All right, good analysis right there. I just don't see a sweep myself either. Michael, I'm with you on that. I feel like, when you talk a sweep in the NBA Finals, it's not like these teams are that much different as far as terms of talent, terms of roster development, and all that kind of stuff. The Celtics, they dominated in those first 2 games during stretches, and it was large part because of guys like Porzingis or guys like Jaylen Brown and guys like, even you can go as far as to say like Derek White or Drew Holiday and what impact they offered in those games. All right, Alberto, I think it's easy to say the Mavs. I think because I'm leaning Mavs too, and I don't know which way you're going here on this one. I might have to make my pick elsewhere, but it's easy to say, look, no Porzingis, it's got to be the Mavs. But let me ask you this. Do you feel like Boston's shot the best that they could? Like, I'm worried, if I'm a Dallas fan, that Boston would just come out in this game shooting lights out and, hit threes like they haven't had in these first 2 games. Dallas had a great game 2 off of Luka. Can you count off another spectacular performance by their superstar in this game to win them game 3? I think Dallas wins this one. That's where I'm getting at. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than we're maybe leading on to.
So you think they're going to have that the Celtics are going to have a great performance despite the loss of Kristaps Porzingis, or how Michael Plundo reminded us, Tingus Pingus. So yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, this Boston Celtics team is a phenomenal team, and they're stacked talent wise, right? You see guys all over that just make plays and have significant contributions day in, day out. And, Jason Tatum's not playing the best, but the rest of the team is, and that's why they're up 2-0 right now. Now, I also think that the Mavericks are going to win this one just because, with the loss of Porzingis, it's now or never, and you're playing at home. You've been kicked in the teeth 2 times in a row. It's time to go out there and get one. But no, I'm with you. The Celtics team is extremely dangerous because they are extremely productive on offense, and they can go off like you said on any given night.
So the Celtics also, they've been catching a bit of their stride as well. I mean, you look all the way back to the Pacers series, that was a sweep. You look back to the series that they had against the Cavs, they only lost 1 in that one, and they only lost the second game against Miami. So this postseason so far, only dropping a pair of games. So while I say, hey, sweep is impossible, Boston's been dominating every series thus far. To begin with. So, Michael, I don't know, man. You could tell me both ways. You could tell me tonight is going to be a close one and that Dallas squeezes it out. You could also tell me that this one is a back and forth battle and maybe, the Mavs pull it out just at the end. I don't know. I think this is going to be a pivotal game 3 that could obviously snowball into a huge game 4.
Absolutely, Adrian. It's just, a matter of time before we'll see what happens. Tip-off will be here in about 15 minutes, so we're going to see for ourselves. But I expect a different Dallas team to come out. I expect them to come out with fire. They got their backs against the wall right now, so they really got to get some type of momentum and spark lit up for for the team right now, and Jason Kidd has got to find a way to find that spark for them. And, Luka Doncic, you can always count on him. I'm not worried about him. He's going to do his thing as he always has. It's just, I want to see what Kyrie Irving, how he responds. The first 2 games in Boston, they were not a warm welcome for him as expected, but, he's really got to find a way to bounce back here because it can't be Luka Doncic. It just can't.
Yeah, I love that. Alberto, it's got to be Kyrie. Luka's already done it game 1 and 2. It's got to be Kyrie, the guy who hasn't really shown up for these first 2 games of the series thus far.
Yeah, he needs to have a better performance. Luka Doncic, he's not feeling his best. He's getting pain-killing shots before the game. What's his performance going to be like if he's getting those shots? Not as 100%.
You can't take it for granted, right?
Yeah, every game that he's out there.
Right. Every time he goes out there, you're thinking, all right, he's probably good, but what percent of health is he right here?
And he's playing through it, and you got to commend that. But you know what? Kind of just talking about what you had said about the Celtics. If the ball is in the Mavericks court, and I'll tell you guys why. The Mavericks have not put up 100 points in the finals, and the Celtics have done that twice. You're not going to keep the Celtics under 100 points, and if you don't go out there and score over 100 points, shoot a great game, and play together, play an offensively cohesive game, you're going to lose this game, and the Celtics they're going to beat you up. Look, the Celtics haven't shot great from the 3. They've shot in game 1, they shot 38%. Then in game 2, it dips to 25% from the 3-point line. So if they come out and shoot 40 from the 3, what would happen? You'd be lost.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, man. I think that threes will rain tonight for the Mavs. I think that's how it's going to happen. I think they're going to get some more production from their front court. Guys like Derrick Jones Jr., guys like Derek Lively, who's been actually kind of bad in this series so far. I think it's a little unfair having to go up against a fresh Porzingis in the first 2 games, although it's got to be the Lively game tonight. And it's also, they got to look at some of their other bigs and dig deep. It's maybe a little Gafford. Get some production from your size and then lean on your superstars to give you the scoring production. So let's wrap up this segment real quick. Alberto, I need to ask you, it's all right, we'll blow off the phone call. I'll ask you, Alberto, Brazil, U.S., second half just got underway. Your thoughts on the second half? What are the keys for the U.S. to try to get this victory?
Well, I think it's going to be extremely difficult, but jump on the opportunities that come out, for you. So they've done a great job shooting from outside of the box, and they're going to continue to do that. One of those has to fall, and so I think that if they keep doing that and just play a better defensive game, don't allow them to rush into space and to play to space, I think that you can etch out a win here, but it's going to be difficult. You have to play a full 90 minutes of great soccer.
You're exactly right on that. Let's go to Adrian. He is joining us next on the phone lines, 915-505-6009. That's our telephone number. Get into Adrian real quick about Game 3. Adrian, we got to get to a break here soon enough, so give us your analysis on Game 3, what to expect tonight between Boston and Dallas.
It all depends on how Jason Kidd coaches the game. I saw Game 2 at the end. You could see Luka just like hobbling back and forward from side to side in the court. He looked tired. He looked injured. He needs to implement, Jason Kidd is, implement where he takes them out during defensive stands and then puts them back in the offensive. Because if they keep on doing what they're doing, he's only going to get more injured, and he's not going to be able to perform like he's done in the last 2 games if it could go for a Game 5 or 6.
Yeah, I hear where you're going, man. I appreciate the phone call, Tocayo. Appreciate that, man. I would say this about Jason Kidd: did not like his rotations in Game 1. Game 2, he got a little bit better. Then they ran like a couple lineups with like 3 bigs and Luka and Kyrie, and I was thinking, really? I mean, they're really going to throw this size against the speed that Boston is presenting, but I guess that's the way that they're going to go. I like his idea about benching Luka a little bit during defensive stretches to give him some rest, because toward the end of the last game, it was a little sluggish from their superstar in Luka. Let's go out to Charlie One. He's going to give us our final traffic update. Then off to the ballpark. Tim Haggerty will join us next, talking some Chihuahuas baseball right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.